All right, guys, welcome to your very last and final Ed puzzle video of the school year 2019-2020. It's been a weird one, but it's been a great one. I've enjoyed so much teaching you guys. Hope you've enjoyed some of it yourself, at least learned a lot. And this is something that's going to be kind of weird when you see. It's called Intro to Partial Fraction Decomposition. What a title. Very fancy. It's actually a true calculus type concept. And we're only showing you just an introduction to it. I'm going to show you two examples, and it's really breaking down fractions into smaller pieces is all we're doing. And there's a pattern to it, at least ones we're doing. There's a lot more patterns available, but I'm just kind of introducing it to you, and wish I'd have had you all year so I could have actually shown this to you in better detail and made a bigger deal out of it. But at least you'll have seen it, and I think that's good. So here we go, the last one, and we're going. Okay, what's going to happen is they're going to give you a fraction like this. Some kind of, for today, some kind of linear term on the numerator, and then some kind of factors in your denominator. What they want you to do is break that into pieces with two fractions either added or subtracted together. So what we're going to do is we're going to take those two fractions. I'm going to write it like this. I'm going to rewrite it. You don't have to rewrite it if you don't want to. You could go ahead and just write it like that. And I'm going to break it up like this. I'm going to say that's going to equal A over the first factor plus B over the second factor. And if there were three factors, I would go plus C over the third factor. And here's where it gets kind of crazy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the whole thing through by the LCD, meaning the fractions are about to go away. So I'm about to multiply every single term by x minus 3, x plus 2. So what happens on the left-hand side is that just cancels with the LCD, so it gives me x plus 7. On the right-hand side, with my first term right here, the x minus 3's would cancel, so it'll leave me an a and an x plus 2. On my second term, the x plus 2's would cancel, just like that. It would leave me a b and an x minus 3. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this side the same, x plus 7. Over here, I'm going to distribute the a, and I'm going to distribute the b. Right now, I'm going to combine what I can. I watch how I do that. This term and this term are both have x's. So what I'm going to do, this should be 3b right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say x, my x coefficient would be a plus b if I combine my two x terms. These other two terms do not have an x, so I'm going to go ahead and combine them also and just say, okay, that's 2a minus 3b. Okay, now this is where this is not difficult at all, and this is why it's in this section or this chapter, because you have to do a system to solve for a and b and to write your two fractions. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to change colors to maybe help a little bit. There's one x on this side. There's an equal sign, which means there has to be one x on that side. So what that tells me is the a plus b has to equal 1. There's also a 7 on this side, and that means that 2a minus 3b, which has no x's at all, has to equal 7. So there's my system. I need to solve that system. And you can do Cramer's rule, you can do matrices, or whatever. To me, the quickest thing to do is I'm just going to do elimination. So I'm going to multiply that whole top equation by 3. That's going to give me 3a plus 3. That's supposed to be 3. 3b equals 3. Just bring this one straight over. 2a minus 3b equals 7. Add them together. I get 5a over here. And over here I get 10, which tells me a is 2. And if a is 2, based on looking at that equation right there that I'm circling, a plus b is 1, so it means 2 plus b is 1. B must be negative 1. All right, so here I go. To write my final answer, my partial fraction decomposition, I'm decomposing this big fraction in two pieces. I'm going to take this 2 and the 1 and plug it in right there where I started. So it's going to look like this. My final answer is going to be 2 over x minus 3. I'm going to put a minus sign because it's a negative 1, minus 1 over x plus 2. And all I did is I put that 2 and the 1 where my a and b were in the top equation. All right, I know that's a weird looking slide right there. Hope you followed me. If not, I'm going to show you one more. Last one, the last slide of the year. You got this. Here it is. Now, the only thing I'm going to have to do in this slide that we didn't have to do in the other one, and you have to do this in a couple of your homework problems, is you're going to have to factor denominator first. So I'm gonna skip the slide divide slide because I think you're good at that. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what the factors are just to save a little bit of time here. I'm going to say that's going to be a +3 here. Nope. It's going to be a +2 there. And a -3 there. And that's going to be my two factors. So what that's going to give me on this side, I'm going to have 4x minus 13 over 2x minus 3 times x plus 2. So that's exactly where I was last time. I'm going to say it equals a over the first factor plus b over the second factor. And here's the key step to the whole thing. I'm going to multiply all the way through by the LCD. All right, the LCD is 2x minus 3 times x plus 2. In other words, both things over here. And when you do that over here, the whole thing just cancels. So I get 4x minus 13. That's a 13, by the way. It's a terrible 13. Let me fix that for you. A little better. Okay, this one, the 2x minus 3's would cancel. So it'll leave me an a times x plus 2. And on my final fraction, the x plus 2's would cancel. It would leave me b times 2x minus 3. All right, now work out the right-hand side. Distribute the a, get ax plus 2a. Distribute the b, 2bx minus 3b. All right, now, another key step, combine your x's. There's an x term, there's an x term. Pull out the x, that leaves me an a and a 2b. Kind of like factor by grouping. There's my 2a and my 3b. They're going to go together because they have no x. There we go. So, because I have 4 x's over here, that's got to equal 4. I can have 4 x's on that side also. So I'm going to say a plus 2b equals 4. Because there's a negative 13 right there, that term right there must be negative 13. Got to have a negative 13 on both sides or it will not be equal. So I'm going to say 2a minus 3b is negative 13. And now I got to do some algebra. I got to solve that system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this one by negative 2. So it's going to give me negative 2a minus 4b. Don't forget the right-hand side, negative 8. Bring this one over. 2a minus 3b is negative 13. So it gives me, those are gone. Negative 7b is negative 21, which means b is 3. And if b is 3, I can plug it back in right up here. And it gives me a plus 6 is 4 when I plug the 3 right there, which means a is negative 2. So there's my a, there's my b. That's not the answer. Remember, you got to plug them back in where we started. So my final answer is going to be negative 2 over 2x minus 3 plus 3 over x plus 2. Now, if you were to add those two right here for your answer, if you were to add those two fractions, you would get that. We just decomposed that big fraction into two smaller ones. Okay, I know that's kind of weird. It's kind of off the cuff. It's kind of like what just happened on my last lesson of the year. Just do the best you can. It's just a homework grade. I want you to try to complete it. If you need me, please send me a message. I'll help you. I'll send you pictures of them worked out if you want me to. Whatever you need me to do, I'll help. I know this is weird for the last one. Next week, I'm going to ask you to do two things for me. I'm going to ask you to send me a little video of just like a class summary, just some questions that mean a lot to me. And we'll have one final Google Meet, and we'll call it a year. Guys, I've enjoyed it so much. Thanks for watching all year, and enjoy this being your last one. Knock out that homework. I'll see you next week.